let's put on our user hat and create the main state rule and its corresponding closing rule. So I'm going to go to rules and I'm going to add a new rule, and its name is going to be high temp rule. It's going to be based on the high temp rule type. And here's everything that has been provided for the user by the admin that set up the rule type. When any tank temperature over, and let's say 40 Celsius, we want an event to be generated. It's a high temp, it's an event of type high temp event type. And when the event is generated, we want an action to be taken. Once again, it's going to be send email to me, my email address, temperature too high, and the message is too hot or something like that. Let's go ahead and create our state rule. We're going to come back to here because we need this rule to be closed by our closing rule. Let's go ahead and create the closing rule, then we'll come back to the state rule. Let's add, and this is going to be our not high temp rule. Its rule type is going to be not high temp rule type. When any tank temperature below, and this is where I can make the threshold something else. I'm going to actually make it 30. So the rule will fire when the temperature of a tank rises above 40, but the closing of the event that's generated by that rule firing will not happen unless the temperature falls all the way below 30. The event type is not high temp event type, and no actions are going to be taken. As I mentioned, there's no email to be sent when this happens. The only purpose of this rule is to close the rule that we already created, the main state rule that we already created. Let's create the closing rule. Let's go back to the main state rule, edit it to make its closing rule be the one we just created, not high temp rule. And the closed state will be temperature is not high. Remember, we only had one closed state for the event type, for the event that would get generated by the main state rule. And all the other things in here we'll just leave as we had left it. Edit. So now we have our main rule and its corresponding closing rule. Let's go ahead and test the firing of the main rule and its closing in the next videos.